Good evening, everyone. When we look at ourselves in our society, we often define people in two ways. One is a good one and one is a bad one. And this good and a bad, again, we often define by some of um, the rules and regulations of the society, and from that someone who doesn't practice in accordance with that the agreed rules and regulations, then that person is regarded as a bad one, and someone who is very much with the rules and the regulations and behaving well, then that's a good person. And that's normally the case. And whenever someone who is behaving not that good and comes into the room, then everybody feels the animosity straight away. And then in the same time, when somebody who is doing good in accordance with the rules, then, oh, he's a good one, like that. So when I was a young boy, and then I went to the monastery. Along with me, other novices also, other boys also joined the monastery. And there was one particular boy, he joined as well. And he was so naughty that he was always punished in the school. And he didn't want to go to school, or whenever he goes to school, always causing a trouble. And later I heard saying that someone that needs to be punished, and now the wind has taken it away. So nothing to worry about anymore. And that's how the people thought about. I think similarly in Buddhist countries, whenever children behave bad, then Achan, my child is not behaving well, so can I bring it to you? So all monks are very bad ones to start off. Okay, so all the monks, all the novices are bad ones. Only bad ones become a novice. So I think in Sri Lanka as well, that's why whenever someone becomes a monk, then they are really bad ones. But somehow, once they come into the novicehood or a monkhood, within the environment they are in, and within that environment there are some rules and regulations that you have to follow, and gradually their behavior changes. Gradually they picked up. Like me, I wasn't a good one, okay? And so I became a good one now. So similar way, majority of the monks, their starting point wasn't a good one, and then probably they were naughty, and they didn't know what is right and what is wrong. But after they joined, following the rules and the regulations and the practicing and studying the Dhamma and associating with the same like-minded people, and eventually they become someone who is like an example that people will look for and practice for. Having said that, doesn't mean that after you have gone through that, they maybe change their mind and become a bad ones, which is quite normal. So that's why here the bad and the good is something, if we look at from like each individual's, our own societies are very different, and we define from whatever been agreed based on that, and yeah, we define that. Nevertheless, in the practice of the meditation, again, you want to be a bad meditator or you want to be a good meditator. So a good meditator basically means that the consistency is there, right? Practicing regularly, and with that you will gain the benefit. And whereas the bad meditator then is not doing properly or not doing regularly. Not only doing regularly, we will get the benefit out of this practice of a meditation. In order to gain the benefit from the practice that we commit ourselves to practice meditation, we have to abide by some rules and regulation as well. And that actually the foundation that helps us to grow. So it's like having a fence. And once we have planted a tree and then having a fence around so that other animals will not eat. Otherwise, we have like birds and deers will often eat. Slugs eat the plant away. But once we have fenced it, then these plants will survive and grow. Same with our practice as well. Doesn't matter how many times you plant it, if the foundation hasn't been properly laid with these ethical practices, then unlikely we will gain the improvement in the practice. You may see some of the benefits here and now, and then off and on and on and off in the practice, but the real the benefit of the practice, in order to receive that, we need to follow these the fencing principles, which we normally call the precepts, and at least of 5 precepts been recommended to practice, so that our actions become more purified, become more wholesome. And wholesome here doesn't mean that to show somebody that I am a wholesome person. It's not that I am practicing 5 precepts, you are not practicing 5 precepts, so I am better than you, not like that. So wholesome in a sense that after we have done, there is no guilt. After we have done, there is no shame. After we have done, there is no feeling of a dreadfulness. So with that, we are mentally freed. And once we are mentally freed, then we don't need to worry who's going to tell us as a good or a bad. Because in our consciousness, or we in our self-conscience know that I haven't done anything wrong, so I don't need to worry, I am mentally free. So with that freedom, what happens that whenever we meditate, it becomes much quicker to attain the calmness and peaceful mental state. And then as we meditate, then the mind simply settles and gradually able to gain more insight from this practice of a meditation, which again eventually helps us to see that what are the causes and what are the issues making us to be miserable, and we can be free from that miseries. And once we are freed, that's it. So that's the benefit of the practice of meditation. And obviously, in order to have that, we have to have this fencing. So make sure that you're fencing so that your consistency of the practice bear a real fruit, right? And you can enjoy. Right, I offer this as a reflection for tonight, and let's practice meditation. Okay, now this is time for the practice of a meditation. So sitting in a comfortable position, relax yourself and gently close your eyes. And finding the comfortable position. And rest yourself here and now. So nothing to worry, nowhere to go. This is sitting and relaxing. As the body sets and mind relaxes, we feel the breath, a natural breath. That we don't have to put any effort. The feeling of that breath. Wherever you feel, mindfully making a note of it. If you feel in your nose, make a mental note. Breathing in and breathing out, or in, out, out. Or if you feel in your belly, there is a rising and falling of a belly. When it is rises, making a mental note rising. When it is falling, make a mental note falling. So rising, falling. So spend some times and narrowing yourself down by adopting this primary object. As you are observing this object and a mind settled, checking what sort of a desire are you having. Are you simply just being mindful of this rise and a fall as the breath comes and it goes? Or do you have this desire to feel this breath and actively engaging and making it to happen? Like forcing the breath, regulating the breath, or holding the breath. Just to feel it. You may check what happens if you do not put any effort, but just sit and relax and watch this breath coming in and going, like the sitting at the bank of the river, watching the river flow. Or like the cloud, like the traffics, like the birds flying away. So when you're objectively observing this object without any efforts, and mind settles, where does this mind go? What this mind picks up? Why this mind picks that up? So mindfully aware of that. But if you find yourself very restless and still struggling, then don't worry in that. Simply come back to the breath and observe the breath incoming, outgoing, rising, falling. And sit and relax and watch the breath. So continue practicing until you hear the gong.